I'm your morning witch, and today is Wednesday, August 27th. So happy Wednesday and happy Witchy Wordy Wednesday, because that's what today is. Okay, so it is Witchy Wordy Wednesday, but before we get into any wordiness, let's just take a moment and get present, okay? So we're going to take a deep breath in through our nose. Hold it for just a moment, become present in this moment, and then exhale through our mouths. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Today's Witchy Wordy Wednesday. And instead of word definitions, today's one of those days I'm going to talk about a phrase. So I would imagine most of you have heard the phrase, perception is reality, right? And perception is reality because what we perceive with our senses is real to us. That's the bottom line. There's also a saying that, there's this side, and the truth of what happened in the middle, but each of those sides is one of the perceptions involved, right? So perception is reality. Okay, so in line with the phrase, perception is reality, and understanding why that phrase is true, because perception, what you perceive in this world is your reality. So from the standpoint of a magical life, I have friends, we joke a lot about am I just upping the level of my spiritual path, or am I having a spiritual psychosis, right? And it's good for us to be able to talk to each other like that because of the fact that in this line of life, a lot of times if you ask a fellow practitioner what their perception of an event was, quite often both people involved might feel like this is a test of abilities. Somebody says, "Oh, did you just hear that?" And if you say no, well, then they think all of a sudden that you're not connected, because for them, asking if you just heard that was a test because they got some sort of download. And so they assume that because they're in the same vicinity as you needed to have gotten that same download. However, you may have already gotten that download years prior, so of course you didn't hear that. It wasn't for you. And the point there is judgment. Sometimes in this lifestyle, because perception is reality, we're afraid to ask someone else their perception of events because we're afraid that they will think that we are somehow fraudulent and not being honest about the things that we're able to perceive with our senses in this life. But we have to be able to have those discussions with each other. We have to be able to have a reality check, not because the perceptions of others matter to us, but because if we are experiencing something that is not our senses perceiving something beyond the veil, but instead we're experiencing some crazy ass shit that's really happening right here, where everybody, no matter what level of their clairs they're aware of, can see or experience. Or if we're having a mental health, I don't know if that'll get flagged or whatever, so I'm not trying to say, but if we're having something that we should be seeking assistance from a professional because the chemical imbalances in our body are requiring that level of help, because we're actually seeing things from that standpoint, not seeing what's beyond the veil, because we can see beyond the veil and still see things that aren't there from a medical perspective. You guys picking up what I'm putting down? And that's why I wanted to talk about this today, because a lot of time we get real afraid to be real with each other because we're afraid that by being real, by being too real, maybe we're going to be perceived as a phony. Don't be afraid to check your perception while still not caring about the perceptions of others, because we talk about this on this channel all the time, which is another reason why this message is really important in my opinion, because we do talk about not allowing the perceptions of others to affect how we are going down our path, right? And so from that standpoint, like, if I am able to perceive spirits, if I am able to see fairies and dragons, all of which I can see with both my third eye and, at this point, my actual physical eyes, because of where I am on my level. And I realize saying that out loud maybe sounds a little crazy to people, but I know what I perceived, and I know, you know what? This is exactly why we have to be able to talk to each other without without feeling judgment, right? So, like, I know what I perceived, I know what I saw, I know clinically I am not diagnosed with anything that would result in me seeing these things, okay? Because I am responsible about my own health in all ways, including mentally, okay? So, but we have to be able to have these conversations with each other, because I know what I've seen, and I don't allow the perceptions of others to bug me in knowing what I've seen, but I also need to be able to talk openly with others so that if there is some kind of a problem within me, I can deal with that in a manner that is professional and respectable and good for my own well-being. You picking up what I'm putting down? Happy Wednesday, y'all.